I'm focused on this theory cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, hello. This is Christine Barr. You guys are watching Black Tea News. Hello, hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about this video that I saw on TikTok last night, and it's pretty long. It's the max that you can get and record something on YouTube, on TikTok, but it's a pretty fascinating journey from a woman who was registered as a Democrat, who the Democrats lost throughout this election process, and it really goes through a lot of mistakes that the Kamala Harris team made in their so-called appeal to the country, which obviously failed because Trump just, totally demolished Kamala, and he won not only every swing state, he won the Electoral College, and he won the popular vote. And if states, FYI, I had mentioned this before, but there were states that signed a pact, and they wanted to get enough people to sign over, enough states to sign over the popular vote. So if the candidate who won the Electoral College, it wouldn't matter as long as they won the popular vote. Well, Donald Trump won the popular vote. Democrats just thought that they had that in the bag forever now, I guess. And so if those states that made that pledge went ahead and gave all their votes to Donald Trump, he would be like in the 500s as far as the sort of wins that he would have. He'd have California and Colorado and other Minnesota, I believe, and just other places as well. There's only I think her number might be like 12 or something. So anyway, he really completely defeated her. So I think this is a nice summary of the reasons why. I mean, we've talked a lot about why she lost. We've talked a lot about how the Democrats still have absolutely no understanding of how that is, why that happened. But she sums it up nicely, and she tries to go in chronological order of things that turned her off and what continued to seal the deal. So I think it's will be eye-opening for some people, and I think a lot of you will understand and probably just nod your head in agreement. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting video. Also, I want to talk about some of Trump's picks. Trump just announced, I guess, unless this is fake, but I don't think it is, Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. That one seems a little wild to me, guys, and I don't know if he's gonna get confirmed. And Matt has been a little wild on the floor, so I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. We'll see. It's looking like it's not a joke. So anyway, we'll get to that later. Thoughts about that. And some other folks that he's picked, but I want to start off with this video. Before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate, because it does cost a stream or on my website, all the good stuff so you guys can support. I very much do appreciate you guys for being able to do that. If you're watching on Facebook, you guys can send stars. Watching on YouTube, you guys can send super chats. You guys can also support by, checking out different merch that we have available at blacktnews.com, like the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For t-shirt and the goat hoodie, the goat t-shirt. We do have those in different colors for different folks who are like, I got kids, I can't wear all that white. I got you. I got you. Also check out different books that I have available as well, like my series, The Color of God's Eyes. It's about, well, it's like the American Civil War meets X-Men, so it's got a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool historical facts, but it is historical fiction. It's gonna start kind of swaying and going into alternate reality fiction, but just you'll get there when you get there, when the details really start veering off. But you guys can pick up, the mug and other stuff from the store. But if you want to check out some of my books, you guys can check out a link in the description will take you to like my Amazon page. I do have some books in stock right now, so I'll have to make a link available if there's anyone who you guys can just order directly off of Amazon. But if you would like something signed, and I can ship it out since I have it in stock, we can do that. But I just have to like set up a link or something so you guys can go and do that, and get an invoice and maybe do it through like PayPal or something like that. So I'll keep you updated. I'll try to do that soon. And I think that's it. I don't have any other announcements or current events or that I'll be at. So let's go ahead and start off with this video. And again, this woman just really laid it out so well as far as her move from, let me download it from TikTok really quick, because I think sometimes it gets a little off of kilter when we watch directly on TikTok, and it's long. So let me download it really quick for you guys. I'm sorry that I'm having this last minute change of mind. It shouldn't take long. But I guess since we're waiting, Pete Hegseth is the new nominated figure for the Department of Defense. And people are losing their minds. I know I haven't ever met him. I know people who know him who are very happy, who know he loves the military. There's a lot of folks downplaying his actual service. And I don't feel that that's obviously appropriate, like ladies on The View, but they have really bad takes anyway, all the time anyway. But a lot of folks, there's an article from Politico, that's quoting different lobbyists, like military defense lobbyists, that are just floored and very upset. And I think that is a good way to get people on board, because people want someone who's on the outside and not necessarily going to be like loyal to, I don't know, the military industrial complex, and someone who's not interested in starting wars for the financial benefit of them, and someone who's been a what's the comment? I love Pete. Yeah, he's he did a I work with the Brighter Michigan PAC. I'm on the board, and we do events for the Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund, and I've promoted different events and fundraising stuff for that organization, and 97 cents on every dollar goes to veterans or their families and stuff. So Pete came in and he did a fundraiser for them a few years ago. And so that's how, some people that I know got to meet him. But he was really nice and really, really strong advocate for our military. And of course, he believes in getting rid of a lot of that woke garbage, which is great. There's too much woke stuff in the military right now. But he loves our troops, and he wants to know that the military and the people who are higher up have the backs of those people on the ground. And I would think that morale and everything would go up after Pete gets in and Trump gets in, because Trump really does love the military. And it's a shame how much people who hate Donald Trump has tried to demonize him and lessen that feeling of love that he has for the military with the losers and suckers hoax stuff, which, by the way, that Atlantic article's been debunked, and I've debunked it. I won't go into all the reasons today, but if you haven't read my article, I would recommend that you guys check that out. Changing my audio really quick. Yeah, thank you, Katrina. That should sound better, clear. Yes. Yes. It was coming through the camera instead of the microphone. So thank you for letting me know. See, yes, that's why it's a good thing when you guys watch it live. Thank you to those of you in the comments, those of you watching it live and stuff. Yeah, so Pete is just a really good guy, and the losers and suckers thing wasn't true. I have an article on my website debunking that twice, because when it first came out, there was so much information debunking the story from the Atlantic that just wasn't credible. But when you had Kelly, who came out and was, started verifying different things, or trying to verify different things, I'm like, okay, this story really doesn't make sense, because they were trashing Trump for not going to a funeral in Paris, and like a grave, a memorial service and stuff. And the reason why they said they didn't go was because of the rain. And the Atlantic people was trying to say, well, he didn't go because he really doesn't respect the military. He thinks they're losers and suckers. But Kelly was the one who told him not to go. Like, he's the one who gave the recommendation. And there were different military documents to back that up, because they didn't want to take him because of the rain and what kind of risk it could be in the rain. Also, you had Bolton, who wrote about it in his book. And at the time he felt bad for Kelly, because the media turned it on Trump and was really coming hard at him. And so Trump didn't like all the negative press, and he blamed Kelly for it and stuff. And so it sounded like they just really have a lot of bad blood. And I, don't want to, besmirch the character of a man who served his country, but it really just seems like he's just bitter about what happened between them. And the losers and sucker story never sounded like it made any sense, but there's literally evidence to debunk the actual article for which they gathered all this information. So even if there were some details that happened to be true or whatever, the piece itself is obviously wrong in its conception. And he didn't issue corrections. The original piece is still out there. So it hurts my heart that there's people who believe that story and believe that article, and they still push it. But Donald Trump, he really does love the military, and Pete loves the military, and I think it's going to be good. And it's a good sign that so many people are upset about it. And that's not always like a good metric, but when the right people are upset, that's a good thing. But Matt Gaetz, though, I don't know about that one. And Matt, to me, acted so silly, over the top, especially with the fights with the speaker. And I can understand not everybody loving like Johnson and other folks, but he was just difficult to deal with. And I don't know how much of it is him trying to get attention. I just feel like his ego can get in the way of really serving and doing what's best for the party, best for, the vision and stuff. And I just obviously think that there's better candidates, and I'm really surprised. And there's some people who have been like online, who've been defending Trump and his picks, and have been happy that, again, the wrong people are all upset about it. But there's people like, I don't understand the Gates thing. I can't get behind that. I got nothing. So I don't even know if he can get confirmed. I also don't want, too many people taken out, that would risk the small majority that we have in places. But we'll see. I'm not confident he'll get through. I mean, there's some people who are saying that they'll push through anybody who Trump nominates, but I don't know about this one. That might be his first L. In the House, I'm sorry, the speaker, not the speaker position, the Senate Majority Leader, Thune ended up getting that. Scott was the one that, like, Charlie Kirk and I think Elon Musk and other people were backing, and he only got like 13 votes. And so he was out the first round, and Cornyn was out. He didn't end up winning. So Thune ended up taking it. The senators are the ones who pick. No social media campaign could stop that. And I didn't want it to be Scott. I wasn't crazy about all three of them, but Scott, I wanted the least, and he wasn't a good leader when he was, trying to raise money and be the head of you know, the committee that actually helps to elect and get different people in the Senate elected. And we were supposed to have a red wave and we didn't. And I don't think people expected that he could have good leadership skills in that role. So and he was squishy on the abortion laws in Florida, and was supporting like more of a 15-week and trash can of 6-week ban and stuff that DeSantis had signed. I didn't like that. They were squishy on that. He signed the red flag laws and other things in Florida. So there were reasons why I didn't like Scott Cornyn. There was the people had him on a list, after the gun vote with the bipartisan legislation with Biden. So I'm not surprised, I guess, but there was heavy pressure coming from, social media and outside forces to make it Scott. But the senators vote for who they vote for. So what's that they hate Thune? I'm not happy about Thune, but like I said, there's more than 3 people, but they only really considered 3, or 3 are only put up. So he says he's behind the Trump agenda, and we'll see. I didn't really like Mitch McConnell, but when it came to putting those judges through, man, he did his thing. And when it came to I was surprised how bold McConnell was with the Merrick Garland situation, and not allowing him to basically be interviewed and seated, but with, and go through the confirmation process, which ended up, saving that seat for Gorsuch. That was very bold, and I had to give him all the credit, all the credit. People say like Trump is the most pro-life president in history because he dominated all these judges. Okay, well, he picked some names off of a list, and no, I give him credit for that. But the Federalist Society obviously helped. The senators who confirmed them obviously helped, and voted for them obviously helped. But without, Mitch McConnell and in the Republicans even being very stern, and the whole Merrick Garland situation, you wouldn't get to the 3 justices, and knowing how bad Merrick Garland is as in his role right now in the Biden administration, I am so very glad he does not have a permanent seat on the Supreme Court, or at least not a permanent, but a lifetime appointment. I am so glad. So kudos to Mitch and some of his capacity and some of his role. He really did wield power, but obviously the man is very old, and I think he should have stepped down sooner with some of his when he was talking and the camera just started, he was just stuck and frozen. That was scary to watch. It's scary to watch. I think the older you get and you see people around you getting older, you know, it's just you just feel a little bit different about aging, and watching kind of these strangers age with you too, and seeing them online. And I feel bad watching Biden have all these senior moments, and I'm like, where is his family? Why are they letting him go through this? And Mitch McConnell, and the being frozen, and I'm like, get you had your time, you did your thing, you were great at it, someone else needs to serve. So I'm it's been a long time. He needs some rest. I guess he deserves his rest, but that was scary to watch. And then a lot of people started just doing memes and stuff, and anyway. Anyway, let's watch this video. I got it together. Again, this is a woman who was on TikTok, and she had another account, but she said it was taken over by bots. So she's like starting over, and that's too bad. But this video has gotten a lot of play. it had
Here
about.
I go. Lifelong Democrat here, turned Republican this election.
Sorry, I was in the middle of saying that it has about 500,000 views. I think it's about 400,000 right now. So she lays out. Someone said McConnell is a dirty turtle. Well, you know, I remember. I'll say this and I'll move on. When I during inauguration, when I was in town, back in 2017, there's this guy who was a Democrat, black guy who was a Democrat, and he was driving us around, and he, didn't vote for Trump, but after talking to us, he felt more optimistic about stuff, and he was like, and I just don't like that Mitch McConnell, and I was like, we were like, we don't like him either. you know, there was consensus there, but as far as not, I'm there's a lot of folks who you may have on your side who you don't really like in the Senate or in the House or whatever, but um he did those things as far as the judges and stuff. He could at least do that, but didn't plenty of reasons why I'm not too fond of him. And he's been in there long enough. And I can't believe they let him stay on, or he decided to stay in there so much longer after that episode that he had, cuz that was a while ago now. And it was scary to watch, really scary to watch. So anyway, let's get to this video.
Okay, here I go. Lifelong Democrat here, turned Republican this election, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to attempt to do this in chronological order. When Joe Biden did his first debate and the debacle that happened, and then the way they swooped Harris right into the picture, that was red flag number one. That's probably one of the biggest lies in American history, that they try to cover up Joe's cognitive health for so long. Number two, Democratic National Convention. That was an absolute shit show. And I don't normally talk like that, but that was a shit show. And having the Planned Parenthood bus there and making, quote, women's rights at the forefront of their campaign, I thought was in A, poor taste, and B, we have a migration issue, we have economy issue, we have world wars going on, and we're going to put abortion at the front of the forefront. No.
So already spitting some facts here. The fact that Joe's perfectly fine. He's running circles around people, blah blah blah. He gets you guys, what you're seeing doesn't exist. He's totally fine. Those are cheap fakes. Cheap fakes, they said at the White House. And denying all kinds of things about him not being well, denying the Robert Hurt report, saying that was basically he was too incompetent and had too bad of a memory to actually go through a trial process for those documents and stuff, because the jury would feel too bad for him. And maybe that would be the case, but he's too incompetent to stand trial, or jury would really find him too incompetent to find him guilty and convict him. So why bother? But he's well enough to be the president. There's a lot of questions and stuff. But Kamala Harris stood up for him and she was like, that report was so terrible and that was unprofessional and it's just so wrong on the face of the facts and blah blah blah. And they covered for him, and they couldn't cover for him after the debate, but Kamala Harris still pretends, and lies and says that, he was fine, and so on. And they had really lame excuses for why they flipped him out, but obviously they did not do it to save democracy. They did it because they were afraid of what the people had to say. They were afraid of the American people, casting their judgment on Joe Biden. So they thought maybe they could sneak somebody else in and, make a change. But as she said, red flag number one, the covering of Joe Biden is a huge scandal, and it should be a huge scandal, and will remain one of the biggest scandals, I think, in our nation. The abortion thing at the convention, they not only were doing abortions outside of the DNC convention, they had people like dressed up and marching as the abortion pills, and there was like I think like a giant inflatable IUD, and it was just too much. It was too much. Excuse me. And it really showed where their priorities were while there were so many things going on. And they did it because they expected that women were just going to be so mad and ticked off. This is our body, our choice. And because they saw successes, you know, in different states as far as their, you know, changing constitutions and whatnot, and they had successes in midterms, they believed that women were going to be so upset that their rage was going to carry them over. Now, I don't know if this woman is pro-life or pro-choice or whatever, but she's obviously a Christian. That doesn't mean that she doesn't consider herself to be pro-choice, but she that will be revealed later. But it's not a priority to a lot of people, even though there are people who may say they're pro-choice. That doesn't mean that they like it. And people celebrating it to the degree that they're celebrating it and pushing it really upsets folks. And they don't get that. They just went all in on it. And Kamala Harris is a big, you know, Planned Parenthood person. She put David Daleiden in, well, she didn't put him in jail, but she went after him in California for exposing them for selling baby body parts and stuff. She went after them, not Planned Parenthood. And he's still dealing with that trial. And it's been 7 years. But prosecuting a journalist, going after a journalist, that's a thing that people don't tend to do. She's a very special woman for doing that, you know, and it was just a bridge too far. It was really gross. So that was the two things. I think there might be 10. There's 10, I think. Yep, 10 reasons.
Number 3, Project 2025. They were pushing Project 2025 agenda, but what was crazy is that's a 900-page document. And nobody was reading it, but everybody was talking about it, and they were putting it out as fear-mongering. When people would mention Project 2025 to me, I would ask them what's in it that has them so upset, and nobody could answer it. Then when the truth came out about Project 2025 not being associated at all with Trump, and they still kept pushing it on the agenda as if it was true. It was absolutely nothing but propaganda.
So I'm still getting people saying stuff about Project 2025. There's a video. It got quarter of a million views on TikTok with me on election night with my two sisters, and we're celebrating. And I say, my sister who was part of the campaign, I'm like, she works for the campaign, it's her fault. Ah! We're laughing and so excited. And I've gotten so many comments. Thank you, by the way. Like, I post them on like Facebook, and so many of you on Facebook that are like, oh, it's so terrible that these people say this crazy stuff, but you guys enjoy my clapbacks or whatever. I appreciate you guys, you know, feeling that I shouldn't have to take all the terrible comments, but I'm just kind of used to it. I'm not surprised by anything that people are putting out and saying, but a lot of people are saying, well, see, they're actually doing Project 2025. And some people think that because Matt Walsh and other trolls were saying, oh, Project 2025, we're going to do that the whole time, and let's start implementing it. And so Matt Walsh actually laughed at these people on his show for saying that and believing that, but whatever. But there's people saying, oh, I'm going to save this video for when, you know, things go down. I'm like, go ahead and save the video. I'm not going to regret voting for Trump. And I'm not going to regret voting for Trump because my other option was Kamala Harris. I'm not going to regret it. I knew the facts. There's a lot of people who don't know the facts, but I knew the facts. I knew a lot of the facts about her record. I've obviously experienced his presidency, looked at his agenda, her agenda. There's no way, even if I don't end up loving this presidency for the next 4 years, I'm not going to regret voting for him over Kamala Harris, because there's no doubt that she would have been worse and the country would have been in a pretty bad state. So even if, you know, this next 4 years isn't great, I'm still going to be like, you know what? The facts available to me. I might say, I wish it was somebody else who the Republicans nominated. I might say that. But as far as the options that I had, I'm not going to regret what happened. I'm not going to regret what I did. I'm not going to regret that. So people are saying, oh, they're gonna push 2025 Project 20. Did your sister know about that? Did you guys know about that? And so my reply to people who talk about Project 2025, and I recommend you guys do this too, is that when someone mentions Project 2025, ask them what specific policy you have an issue with and what page is it on. And I doubt they'll know. I doubt they'll know. One time somebody brought up a particular chapter and I actually downloaded, started reading the chapter, and I'm like, this chapter sounds pretty great. I too believe that sex-based discrimination should only be about sex-based discrimination and not about gender identity. That sounds amazing. Doesn't sound dumb at all. Doesn't sound scary at all. Like, what are you? So a lot of people who are afraid of it, it's just propaganda, and they only know it from the lens that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz explained it through, or so different celebrities and stuff, or the influencers that they paid. They paid influencers on TikTok to push propaganda about Project 2025. And as this woman noted, that's not even Trump's agenda. Imagine raising all of that money, blowing so much on influencers to push lies, and then it not paying off. It's pretty remarkable. Anyway, let's keep watching.
Number 4, all these social media influencers paid by the DNC are paid by the PACT Act and Palette Management Media. They literally were paid to attack Trump supporters. And when I saw the receipts and I went and investigated Palette Media Management, whatever it is, anyway, in your Harry Systems and your Deans and all those people, they were trying to get the young voters, but they were doing it hatefully and aggressively. It was at that point that not only did I decide I wasn't going to vote that way, but I definitely was changing my party affiliation. So if you want to know Harry, Dean, and all those boys, you lost me. So all that money you earned, lost people. Number 5.
That's amazing, by the way. I do not like those kids. And I don't know how sincere they are in their beliefs and how much is them getting paid, and they're TikTok debaters, and you can find a way to know different techniques and to talk fast and spit out a bunch of different facts, and be used to debating more than the average person who might come up on TikTok or whatever. And just because it may sound like you may win doesn't mean that you actually know the facts, or you're saying truthful things, and just because you may be able to persuade an army of teenage girls or whatever doesn't mean that you actually won the debate, just because your folks are really loud in the crowd. So if you're unfamiliar with those kids, they're like young adults, I guess, but they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. And they were paid by, I don't know if all 4 of them were paid by Palette Managed Media, but I know at least 2 of them are. And I just haven't looked into the records of everybody else, but they're paid by a management company, and the management company is paid by the DNCs. So they're not the only ones. There's other people who are influencers who are paid by the DNC on TikTok to push different narratives, and they didn't work. And they're still fear mongering. Dean did a video talking about some report about women who were sexually assaulted and not be able to have an abortion, which the report I think is from database prior to Roe v. Wade being overturned. So there's that. And also the person who did the study is a biased person who's fighting for reproductive freedoms and rights, or whatever they call it. And so you can take what he said with a grain of salt, but he's like, it's all on you. And he was mentioning other stuff, but I'm like, even still, when you have conversations opening up with that, back to her saying that they focus too much on abortion, they're still focusing too much on abortion. And I have utmost sympathy for anyone who goes through such a terrible situation, and I hope that we get justice for them immediately and swiftly to those people who committed that evil act. But at the same time, every time we have a conversation about this, we are always talking about taking the life of a human being. And I don't feel that that's right, you know? So anyway, let's keep watching.
Every time, every rally, everything you heard Harris speak about was nothing but pure hate and division. She was talking nothing but pure hate to Trump. And as that progressed, it got worse and worse and worse. Instead of standing on policy, she put out nothing but hateful and dividing propaganda. Number 6, I think one of the worst things was the choices of endorsements that she used. To me, it was sending a message. I don't know if they were really pandering hard for the black vote and also pandering for the millennial vote or the younger generation vote by those choices, is what I think. However, it seemed more like a Diddy party to me. It certainly didn't seem presidential in the least. If anything raised a red flag, it was those people, from Oprah to Taylor Swift to, J-Lo, Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, the whole group of them, right? Just totally pushed me the other direction, even further. Again, more so because it seemed like a Diddy party.
That's someone was laughing saying Diddy party in the comments. Yeah, that's funny. And I thought some of the people that she put on there was ridiculous. And I didn't like some of the people who they were having interview them, like in Joe Biden during 2020. There was one guy who ended up he was on some kind of cheerleading show or something, and he ended up getting in trouble for like messing around with young men and stuff. So I think, as she said, it's not presidential. There's certain people that you want around your president and uplifting folks and stuff. And I don't always love all the entertainers who kind of comes in Trump's sphere either, might come to the rallies and sing or play or whatever. I kind of long for the days when Bush had like Yolanda Adams, who's a very famous gospel singer, singing at the White House. And, that's kind of my atmosphere that I kind of wish was around. But having Megan Thee Stallion come in her little outfit. I mean, she had pants on, but it was like the crop top, and they're still like jiggling and gyrating and all that stuff. And as she said, it just doesn't seem presidential. Like, if you come to a rally, but people might be excited to go to a concert, but as she said, maybe they're really trying to appeal to the black voter, which is in the bag pretty much for them. So I don't know why risk alienating other people. Maybe you just expect all these suburban white women to get in line or whatever. But I don't think they go to a Megan Thee Stallion concert and they're sitting in the crowd like, oh yeah, I really enjoy having this butt shaking at me right now. Or having Glorilla on stage where you have to bleep out every other word. It's just not appropriate. It's not appropriate music, period. I mean, there's people out there who like that stuff. I'm not one of those people. It doesn't appeal to me. Lizzo doesn't appeal to me. I don't even know if Lizzo sang. I don't think she sang when she went there in Detroit. I don't remember. I don't think she did. But of course Beyonce didn't sing that one. That's hilarious. But Lizzo, she can make great music as far as the instrumentals and the syncopation and other sorts of things going on with her stuff and the beats or whatever. But I don't hear Lizzo's music and it doesn't speak to me. It doesn't relate to me. And it relates to a lot of people. She's a big artist or whatever. But it wouldn't have got me. I wouldn't have wanted to go to a concert where all that stuff was going on, or rally where all that stuff was going on. So they were so. It's so funny to me because Donald, all these politicians so desperately want to be celebrities. Obama, desperately wanted to be a celebrity. He was like their celebrity president. He was a cool guy or whatever, hung out with celebrities. They love him. And Biden's not cool and stuff, but they're so desperate to still be celebrities. And Kamala's so desperate to be celebrities, and they're in that sphere, and all these people come around and hang out with them. And Donald Trump, he has famous people who want to come around him and went to his rallies and stuff too. But Donald Trump is the celebrity. And he is that famous person, and yeah, not just because he did TV or whatever, but before he did The Apprentice, he was, just famous for real estate and running his companies and running his brand. And he just expanded on that brand, and they want to be him so badly. And Trump just is. Trump was in the rap songs and whatever before he even became the president. And he was the cool guy that people wanted to be. People made jokes about, and I want to marry Donald Trump, and he was in the rap songs and stuff. But they want to be like him so bad. But my dad said this one time, and he said, cool isn't transferable. Cool isn't transferable. So people who are hoping that, Obama could transfer his coolness on Hillary Clinton and get out that vote, or Kamala Harris, that's not how it works. Or people hoping that all these celebrities door knocking and doing all this influence, that's not how it works. People might be excited that Oprah knocks on their door. I'd be pretty annoyed if Oprah knocked on my door and there wasn't a car or something. Like, she better have a Publishers Clearinghouse check, or I know that's not her thing, but she's got enough money where she could just pass out stuff. I wouldn't be excited about Katy Perry or, all these people knocking at my door. A lot of people would be, but that doesn't mean that you persuaded them to vote. And they tried so hard with the youth vote, and Donald Trump took it. And these young men came out to support him. Charlie Kirk was on Peter Bet-David's podcast. I haven't seen the whole thing, but it's fascinating. You guys might want to check it out, because he was talking about how they decided to do some very unconventional things as far as their outreach, and really focus on trying to get that, to expand the base and go after that young male vote. And they took a lot of time going on those college campuses and having those conversations. And it was pretty amazing that Kamala Harris lost college towns, and how happy, explosive the people were that Trump won on the college campuses. It's pretty remarkable that they did a bang up job. And they weren't the only people on the ground doing that kind of work, but a lot of people, there was a lot on the line for Turning Point, because so much had been hoisted upon their shoulders as far as what they were supposed to deliver. And of course, we got the victory. And by the way, Elon Musk announced that they are not slowing down with their pack, and they're still going to be going out there registering people to vote and expanding Republican majorities. And for the midterms and special elections. And man, the Democrats really screwed up by coming after Elon so hard, being such an enemy of free speech, because he is just laser focused on tasks. And he's decided that he wants to save the world, or at least save America, and have a agenda that's focused on freedom and liberty. And he can't do that with the Democrats. They're in opposition to that. And if that one person on Twitter would not have banned the Babylon Bee for the Babylon saying that Rachel Levine is a man, then maybe none of this happens. It's incredible what kind of dominoes fell to get to where we are, man. And anyway, someone said, "Where's my car and my big check?" Oh, that's exactly how I would feel if Oprah came to my door. Like, I need a check or something. Like, but I'm gonna play the rest of her video, but I would love it though if one of those people knocked on my door and we could get into a conversation and I could expose that they know nothing. I would love that. I would absolutely love it.
And the one thing that set me totally reeling was to denounce Jesus, our Lord and Savior, to denounce him in front of a group of people was just horrid, and was horrible. To tell somebody to leave and go to the smaller rally down the road, that was horrid. That was probably sunk her campaign. Because at that point, I was saying they're doing nothing but rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Number 8.
Before she gets to number 8, that was a big moment, and that was remarkable to me when that happened. And I wonder how many people that probably radicalized to really to not only vote, but to vote against her. Now, the fact that it happened, and the fact that that was such a strong, quick instinct of hers, because she's not good on the cuff. I mean, or off the cuff, whatever. She's not good. Just saying stuff that's not on a teleprompter. And she doesn't answer questions directly. But when that happened, oh, you must be at the wrong rally. Because what, someone said Jesus is Lord or Christ is King or something. You must be at the wrong rally. Go, you're looking for the rally that's down the street or something, the smaller rally. So she was telling them, you could say they're hecklers or whatever, but the optics were insane to do that. There was quite a few Republicans, including Black Republicans that I know, that left the Democrat Party after, what year was it? It might have been 2008. I don't know. I don't think it was 12. It was a while ago, obviously, but the Democrats were booing God. There was something that was in the platform that they wanted removed, and they were fighting, doing like a floor fight or whatever for it, and the resolution, I think, passed to keep it in there or something. And you had people at the DNC who were booing about the resolution or whatever and keeping God in it. And so people saw that and it made headlines, and people were so upset. And there are folks who like came out of the closet, quote unquote, about being a Republican after that event, or started to defect from the Democrats, because to them, they saw it as a disrespect of Christians and a disrespect of God. And some people I've seen try to dismiss what Kamala Harris said at the rally to those Christians as, she wasn't disrespecting God. She was just getting rid of the hecklers. But there was way better ways to do that, and she just handled it in the most inappropriate way, guys. She just did. I've said it many times. She could have been like, hey, amen, but we need to do things in order. That would have been an easy, relatable church way to, kind of calm them down. We're like, I'll see you on Sunday, but right now I am speaking. She could have did her line, but that's not what she did. She said, you must be at the wrong rally. So people decided to go elsewhere. And that's on top of other crazy stuff that she did. But as far as something that's in people's minds that she did that's anti-Christian, that's going to be top of the list. That's top of the list. Now, there are the other things that politically, policy-wise, that should top that, but it's something that people had a visceral reaction to, that's stuck in their mind. That is a moment. And there might have been people willing to sit out the election because Donald Trump's not perfect. But she just said, hey, you guys, you don't belong here. You belong with Donald Trump. She just told you, she gave you permission to leave and not support her. So people took that advice.
More and more the campaign went on, the more I started seeing a clear picture about this women's rights. And you know what's controversial about that is they were pushing abortion as women's rights. We have the right to vote. We have a right to have equality. We have equal jobs. We have all these things that fall under the category of women's rights, not just abortion. But they were like, as if we were going to become we would have to be stuck at home and be a slave to our husbands or something. Like all of our rights were being taken away. And when you think about it deeply, we have an immigration issue. We have people coming here by the droves from other countries. Why is that? Because we have rights and freedoms that they don't. And that's why they're coming here. So it was just a horrible mixed message. And to this minute, we have people in extreme fear because they feel like, honest to God, I mean, they feel like the way they make it sound, all these women shaving their head and stuff, is that Trump is coming to yank every woman's uterus out of their body. That's the way they drove that point, to the point that it was just ridiculous. When in all reality, it was something that woman couldn't change to begin with. Number 9, the Madison Square Garden rally of Trump's was phenomenal. It was absolutely, from a magnitude of people, from the area, from being in New York, a blue state, the turnout was fantastic. Great group of people speaking, other than the yucky comedian, whatever. But the way they twisted that and turned that into fear-mongering and the threat to democracy, how they kept driving the threat to democracy, and that this was in comparison to some Nazi rally, which it was nothing at all. And to keep driving that point, the more it was going on, the worse it was. But right this minute, here we go again. We have people on the losing side on this app going absolutely batshit crazy, thinking that he's a Nazi, he's a dictator, and we had him for 4 years. 4 years ago. Okay? And there was nothing like that, nor was that rally anything of the such. And number 10, identity politics. It was so, again, another point that was constantly driven, and right now we're dealing with the ramifications of that hateful rhetoric causing campaign, that we have people on this app that are gay and are absolutely freaked out that they're gonna that Trump's gonna dissolve their marriage and all kinds of crazy things, which isn't even the truth. And Trump, I've said this 100 times, he did a gay marriage at Mar-a-Lago. He performed the ceremony. I absolutely adore Preston Myers, was his campaign manager, who is gay, and absolutely just the most gracious and wonderful speaker and person on this app. I know this account is newer. My other account that had almost 40,000 followers got taken away or got all taken over by bots. It's still there. I'm still trying to maybe recover it because I came out in support of Trump. Okay, I lost that. And here I had to start all over again. But they came for us hard. And you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. It's just like, regardless, telling somebody to go to the rally down the street, no, you want to try to speak and earn that person's vote that came there in opposition of you to leave there for you. Okay? So to just tell us to, tell them to leave. And then when Biden came out and called us all garbage, I personally think Biden's fed up. And the last thing that I want to say is, Nancy Pelosi, the Obamas, they all just have such hate. I mean, pure hate for Donald Trump. And it was very evident. And why is that? You have to ask yourself why. And no matter how much they try to play nice, you can see there is huge division in that Democratic Party. All right, guys, I hope that answers any questions anybody has. Have a blessed day and peace to your house.
Yeah, so phenomenal video, really broke it down. And she was a normie, guys. There's a lot of Democrats out there who, are the Bernie folks, and I don't mean just Bernie bros who liked a lot of the who's, I don't know, liked some of his economic stuff for some reason. I mean, there are people who are left wing and believe in all the left wing stuff, socialist kind of stuff that Bernie Sanders espouses, and they still, there's one Democrat who said something about how they needed to stop focusing on the trans issue so much, and he's been attacked for days by his side. Like, they want to like primary him, and I think the governor came out against him. Let me see what name it was of this person, and they're flipping out. I think I retweeted it. And they're not ever going to win if they continue to be this insane. Salem Dems double down after calling Seth Moulton. He's a congressman from Massachusetts, or no, is that Maryland? Is MA Maryland? Let me see. He is Massachusetts, and 6th congressional district of Massachusetts. He's represented that since 2015, so he's been there for a minute. Former Marine and all this stuff, and people are mad, and folks are saying that they'll find someone to run against him and win, and they're getting a letter together to condemn his statements, and all he was just saying is like, we got to refocus and get off this stuff. And it's something that if they had any sense, they'd listen and back away from this issue, but they just want to double down. So if the crazy people in the party keep winning, they're going to just be kind of a fringe party. And I don't, I mean, I want to win, don't get me wrong, but my area is not always going to win. My area, I've said this before, I live in an area that's pretty blue right now, and I live in a city that's very blue and isn't flipping anytime soon. Maybe, who knows? But it's very blue, and Michigan Supreme Court became bluer, and we got a rough road ahead of us, and we've been on a rough road for a while now. But I would prefer, even if my leadership and the people around me who are representing me are Democrats, I would very much prefer if they were not crazy. I would very much prefer if we have just like different economic issues here or there that we disagree with, maybe different education issues that we disagree with here or there. But I don't want you to be crazy. I don't want you to do crazy things that I fear for my community, every time you get up there and do your job. I would like minor disagreements, but I don't want you to be shoving all kinds of crazy stuff down the throats of me and the people who live around. And I guess I could always leave. And, I'm not opposed to at least live in the city I'm in, or, but, it would be weird leaving the county though. I've been in this county my whole life. It would be weird. I guess not impossible because my sister moved out to Macomb, but I've been in this county my whole life. It would just feel a little strange going somewhere else. But I'd rather people not be crazy. And I would love if Democrats could go back to a form of common sense. And she's right that there's a lot of infighting in the Democrat Party. And maybe they'll go back to the days of like Bill Clinton, which I never loved Bill Clinton, but he was more like, trying to get somewhere in the middle of the road. But he'd be like a foreign lost man, at least if you teleported that Bill Clinton from the past to present day. He'd have no place here. So we'll see what wins out in the end with the Democrats. but they're still crazy, and they're still crazy, and they don't understand why they lost. There's some people having some different revelations and like, oh, we should have focused on the border now. But one of my favorite talking points from the Democrats right now is, well, we just couldn't get our message out, or we don't know how to message right. Maybe that's true, because Kamala Harris was a very bad messenger. She's very bad at speaking, but the issue isn't your message. It's the content. It's not just how it's delivered. It's the actual content. It's your actual policy prescriptions. It's your priorities. Like the woman mentioned, like they focus way too much on abortion. That was a miss. The focus on women's issues, as if, there's women crying on TikTok, and someone's shaving their heads for some reason, and grief, and they're starting these weird movements called 4B or whatever in retaliation, and they're so upset, and you have women in California crying because they might get raped and need an abortion, and it's like, you're in California, what danger are you in of not being able to get an abortion, and all kinds of nutty stuff. I mean, people are hysterical, and it's sad that they feel that way, and they're not valid in their feelings at all. But that's what happened. That's what they did to their population. That's what they did to them, and it's really sick. It's really sick because they don't mean what they say. They don't mean what they say. Trump and Joe Biden met today, and it seems to be going fine, and it's cordial. If I believe that someone was like Hitler, if I believe someone was like Hitler and was truly a threat to democracy or whatever, I don't care what, if they just got elected. I'm not saying I wouldn't work with them or whatever, but I just wouldn't be standing there smiling or whatever for the cameras and be like, oh, Biden's speech was so nice after the election. It was one of his best speeches, I thought. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, where was this guy for 4 years? It was optimistic and comforting, and I did think there was, like, he was trying to lay the groundwork for when good things happen in the Trump administration as far as the economy, that they will say like, oh, it's because our stuff just kicked in, because he did say something about, there's so many things that we did that are just now kicking in. I'm like, okay, so when the stock market and business and all this stuff starts booming and there's all these jobs or whatnot, you're going to be like, well, that's the Inflation Reduction Act finally kicking in. That's probably what will happen, because they do that with, oh, Trump's economy was so good because of Obama and whatnot. But I just, if you really thought that Trump was such a damage to the country, I just would not be smiling and happy and optimistic or whatever. You might say you were going to accept the results of the election and the American people have spoken, but you'd still be a lot more solemn. He was just thrilled. He seemed so happy. So I'm going to show you guys this clip of them chit-chatting a little bit. I'm sure we'll hear more about it. But I just it was all fake. Like, again, you don't think someone is like Hitler and then put on their merchandise. Like when he put on that Trump hat, there's no way. If I thought someone was like Hitler, I would not put on their hat. I would not. That's it's all a game to these people. It's all a game. Now, don't get me wrong. I think they've probably thought January 6th was crazy, and he's, that he does pose a threat. But the degree of actually pretending like he's some kind of white nationalist and pro-Nazi person, that's just not real.
Well, Mr. President-elect, former President, thank you, Donald, congratulations. Thank you. And looking forward to having like we said, smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So good. Welcome.
Thank you. And, thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Mr. President.
I just don't think that's how you act with someone who you think is like Hitler. I'm sorry. It's just, and then you can say, well, what else is he supposed to do? It's just not true. It's just a lie, guys. It was always a lie. It was always a lie. And Kareem was asked about Biden and his rhetoric and if he apologized, and she still, the trash press secretary.
In the meeting, we saw a unified front related to a transition in the Oval Office meeting. But a lot was said on the campaign trail, like Trump is a dangerous threat to our country and our democracy. Was there an apology today?
I'm sorry?
Was there an apology from
President
Biden for the words, some of the words used?
An apology from the President Biden.
To President-elect Trump for some of the words that was used on the campaign trail.
Look, and I've answered this a couple of times about a threat to democracy in the past week. The president is going to always feel obligated to be honest with the American people.
And he wasn't.
What he says still stands.
She lying again.
And it's not just him. You heard this from former staffers. You've heard it from the former chief of staff, John Kelly, and others. You've heard it directly from the president-elect, the former president, about enemy of the people. Very, very clear. Very clear. What we want to be also very clear about is the importance of listening to the will of the American people.
She is trash. Going out with a bang. Now, Joe, in case I've missed it, Joe isn't like doubling down on like, oh yeah, everything I said was true. And yeah, he is a threat to democracy. He's just like, we're going to help him transition or whatever. He's not refueling that kind of hysteria. And she's like, nope, you said what he meant. And it's still true. He's still a threat. She's trash. And saying that Joe Biden wants to always be honest with the American people and was just speaking his mind. He's lied about so many things, and she's aware that he's lied about so many things. And what's really disgusting about Joe Biden, after Donald Trump was shot, they tried to assassinate this man. They tried to kill him at his rally in front of the American people. They tried to take him out. And after that, they still went out there and talked about his rhetoric, and they kept pumping it up, saying that he was so awful. He's a threat to democracy. He's white nationalist, not very fine people hoax. They kept pushing that nonsense. Like, at least just be honest and tone down the rhetoric. After that happened with Trump, they rewrote basically the whole the RNC convention. They didn't even barely mention Joe or anything like that. They focused like about their agenda, their policy, unity or whatever. Trump just pro stuff. They didn't really attack the whole atmosphere was different. And that's the route that they decided to go. The Democrats never let up with he's a threat. I don't know if did they want him to actually be executed and someone to try again, which someone did try again. So was that their goal? Because they never turned it down. And she's still standing in front of that podium justifying all of the evil rhetoric that Joe Biden said in the name of, oh, he was just being honest or keeping it real, when she knows he lied day after day after day after day. She's trash. One of the worst press secretaries in history. She did look nice in that outfit though, but was just absolutely terrible at her job. Absolutely zero shame. I will be so glad when she is gone. I would like her to be replaced with Kayleigh again, but I don't think Trump's going to go that route. A lot of people want Scott Jennings, who's been on CNN, to go back. Scott is so great on CNN, but CNN it's reported they're about to lay off a lot of people. So I think maybe that's one of the reasons Chris Wallace left. And Chris Wallace, he left Fox to go on CNN for a 3-year contract. And now Chris Wallace says he's going to try to get in the podcast space. And just because he's trying to get in the podcast space doesn't mean he's going to find success like Tucker Carlson and other folks like that. But, we'll see. Apparently CNN's they might be letting go some big people who are taking up some pretty hefty paydays. And MSNBC, the cable network or whatever owns them, is looking into selling them. And so Jeremy Boring was like, do I have enough money to buy MSNBC? That'd be hilarious. I don't know if they want to go that route and do cable, because there's people watch TV. I mean, watch things by streaming, and it's kind of a dead situation. So I don't know about if that would be worth their time and investment to do something like that, but it would be funny. It would be funny, totally funny. You know, it's funny because, you know, MSNBC's election night numbers were so good, and then everything just started plummeting after that. But the reason why they beat CNN and stuff is because people wanted to see the meltdowns. I couldn't watch their meltdowns because I was at the party and they were watching Fox News and stuff. But I even like wrote online, I'm like, they're freaking out on these channels and stuff. So I wanted to see tears and people upset, whatever. And I don't feel like the salt mines were as good as like 2016, but maybe that's because a lot of they cut off the cameras and kicked people out of Kamala's place, so there weren't a lot of tears there. But there's people who recorded themselves doing crazy stuff on TikTok, so and I guess we'll have to just be satisfied with that. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. That's what I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, Democrats are going to have a really hard time gaining ground if in expanding their base, because Trump was like, we're going to expand our base. We're going to not only pump out our people, we're going to expand the base. And that was the goal of Turning Point and stuff. And Elon, and they did it, and they will continue to do it. And Democrats are going to continue losing ground because all they have are these radicals who will not look themselves in the mirror, and they're only going to make it worse. So if they don't take any accountability, if you keep letting Sunny Hostin kind of which I have an interesting video from her. I'll table it for tomorrow. But you know, they keep trying to say someone tries to say something sensible on The View, and she's like, no, it was misogyny. Like, it was the border. No, it was racism. You know, if that's the route that they want to go, they're going to keep losing, and New Jersey and Minnesota and other places will become swing states, and people will continue moving to Florida and Texas, and those places will get deeper red, especially if we can continue having like competent, you know, governors or whatever there, and competent state parties and stuff run stuff. And then their electoral votes will be bigger, and the Democrats are just going to be totally out of luck. Totally out of luck. I was very concerned about what would happen after Trump got in and the 4 years, and what will happen next, because usually we've had a pattern of flipping back and forth through different presidents or whatever, through different parties. But it's early to say that the Democrats are going to freeze themselves out. But and I'm not making that prediction. I don't like making predictions, but I'm just warning them. And I'm alerting you all that they're not going to have a path of electoral victory if they continue progressing down in this really, really negative spot. They're going to have to take a step back and become more to the right and actually be centrist and take a page out of Clinton's book way back in the day. But if they are really going to stick with we should have elected Bernie Sanders, if that's really their ideas, or, you know, it's Obama's fault because he didn't push Bernie Sanders, and if that's the route that they want to go, if those are the things that they're going to tell themselves, if they're going to primary primary Democrats that are like, hey, maybe we shouldn't focus so much on the trans issue, they're not going to have a Democrat president winning in 2028, and I'm just fine with that. Absolutely. But I would like for them not to be crazy. I would sincerely like that. I don't get joy out of watching all these people be insane online, depending on the video. Like the people who are like hysterical and just really distraught, you know, and some people are saying such evil things too. Like I saw a video today where someone said that they hoped that Republican women get raped and impregnated so they know what it's like to not have reproductive freedom or whatever. They're just saying crazy stuff like that. And it's sick. It's sick. And shame on Biden and the Democrats for radicalizing them so much. Anyway, please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website. And you heard Bannon will be press secretary. Steve Bannon, no way. No way Steve Bannon's gonna be press secretary. That that he, I don't think he would. Nah, I don't think so. Trump and Bannon have, I know if he's advised him or whatever, but they've also bumped heads and stuff too. I don't see that happening. But check out different merchandise that's available at blacktnews.com, like Slay Your Fear, How to Overcome a Spirit of Fear. And I had people over the weekend asking me what was my inspiration for this. I'm like, COVID, because people were losing their minds, and they decided to use their fear as a way to not be kind to each other. So fear is a very powerful thing, and you need to know how to overcome it. So that's one of the reasons why I wrote that. But most of my books are fiction. You guys can check it out on Amazon. There's a link in the description that will take you to my page, and you guys can shop through and look at different stuff if you're interested. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you tomorrow.